Top story this morning across the state, many feeling the impact of Tropical Storm Hone. And Governor Josh Green joins us in studio this morning with everything the state is doing to support residents right now. Governor Green, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
I know you, of course, have been in contact with the mayors on each of the islands. Hawaii Island definitely hit the hardest. What was your latest conversation with Mayor Roth?
He was good. Lots of heavy rain. There have been people stranded at the airport. We've tried to accommodate them with food and shelter and have done that. Then there were some landslides, of course, that always happen, especially on the Big Island. There were places that got 6, 8, 10 inches of rain, as you've reported very well. So whenever that happens, you get some mudslides. But we have our DOT, Department of Transportation guys out in coordination, and people are going to be fine. We're glad to have the water, though, because we're suppressing fire risk.
I know we saw some red flag warnings over the weekend because of those strong winds, reminiscent a little bit of last year when we had the wildfires on Maui because of those winds. And I know we have 2 more weather systems that are developing. Are you guys on alert, making sure we're ready for those if anything changes?
We are. We used emergency proclamations over the weekend to make sure we could open up extra resources to respond. The winds were 65 miles per hour, I believe, on Saturday, and they were a little stronger on Sunday. But the winds combined with water did help. And then, of course, the storm is moving off. So people did well. We're going to be very attentive to any red flag warnings going forward. But now that we've saturated the land with water, we're a little safer. But each and every storm we'll assess. We usually get ready as soon as it gets about 2 days out. And people should continue to have 14 days of supplies just in case we get hit by a big hurricane. We're not anticipating that just now, but each storm we reassess.
And I know, hurricane season started end of May, beginning of June, and this is really we're seeing a bunch of systems right now. So as you mentioned, make sure you are prepared. A really good time to do that.
For sure.
And I know another big story we've been following is crime on the west side.
Yes.
You've been out there a few times now as the community's wanting to get that addressed.
Yes.
What do you see the next steps are in trying to keep those communities safe?
Well, I want to give the local representatives a lot of credit. Tupola, Gates, all of them, they really brought their communities together. The key is that communities have to make sure that they police along with the actual police force. And so getting young people together, making sure that they understand that gang violence is bad for everyone, especially them and their loved ones around them, that's key. So that's been an important thing. Also, what I did was we authorized some additional law enforcement. So the state has things like harbors and the sheriff's department. And so we're moving more law enforcement into the community for a 3-month period so that there's just a little bit more presence. And then finally, we did a gun buyback, which had been planned all along and has been very successful. We did that over the weekend, and we brought back over 500 guns. Many of them were semi-automatic weapons and ghost guns. We're giving out $200 gift cards for semi-automatic weapons and $100 gift cards for non-automatic weapons. And I'm going to keep doing that. So the more guns we bring off the street, the better in general. And then we just have to encourage people to have hope that their lives are getting better and that violence is absolutely unacceptable. A lot of it's connected to drugs, some of it's to illegal gaming. So we'll be cracking down on those things too. But I've committed additional resources for 3 months.
During those 3 months, we're going to be keeping a closer eye on those crime rates and seeing if it makes a positive impact, and could it be re-evaluated at the end of those 3 months?
Constantly. I hope that some of our federal partners will also go and take action on some of the kind of the more egregious drug groups. And then everyone needs to kind of settle back into Hawaii. We have very low violence rates as compared to the mainland in general, but we had that spike of 2 terrible incidents. And it's not just this last week. It was also collateral damage when we had that beautiful young woman get shot from afar when there was some gang violence. It's just dangerous. So there has to be no gun violence in the state of Hawaii. And I'll work on all violence, but that's our focus right now.
And Governor, I do want to ask you about the DOE bus driver shortage that has been, of course, top of mind as students have been going back to school. We have several bus routes, I think 20 on Oahu and 8 or so on Hawaii Island and Maui going back in today, but we're still many routes short. How do we address this so it doesn't happen again? Because parents, families are very much impacted.
Well, the big challenge is we just don't have enough workers in a lot of different fields, and one of our contractors didn't live up to their standard. We asked them to make sure they have adequate bus drivers well in advance. They came up short just days before. Again, we used emergency rules so that drivers from other things like vans and some of the partners we have in the tourism industry to allow them to drive some of these routes. But across the board, we don't have enough drivers, just like we don't have enough nurses or teachers in some cases, and all that comes back to the cost of living in Hawaii. So this is the long game to build more housing so that it's more affordable to be in Hawaii, so that our local families can just have middle-class workers. But this is one of those canaries in the coal mine. This is an example of what happens when it's too expensive to live in Hawaii and you can't attract just regular middle-class guys.
Well, Governor, thank you for joining us this morning. We always appreciate you coming in.
It was great to be here. I want people to know that we're going to keep working on these large issues, but they do take a little bit of time. It's going to take time to build houses and time to lower taxes so it can be a little more affordable. But have hope that we'll do all these things.
Once again, thank you, Governor.